Okay, so here we go. As promised, the T13 Godzilla, baby. My first purchase from Titan 13 Toys. So, and the box is a little effed up. So hopefully that's not a sign. But it says, here are the Titans without limits, larger, stronger, and more detailed than anything before. These Titans are built to stand out, to dominate, and to amaze both kids and collectors alike. What you hold now isn't just a figure, it's a Titan that begins with you. If you need help, contact our support center. Contact at Titan13Toys.com. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so this is how it's going to come. Not the most desirable packaging, let's just say that, but free figures for a year, the Titan 13 Challenge. Complete the 8 missions, tag us, and win. Welcome to the Titan 13 crew. And you get this little booklet with instructions here. Here's the code for your next Titan. Code GIFT13. All right, that's pretty cool. All right, let's get him out of there. Hope he's not broken. Okay, so let's go. The T13 Godzilla from Titan 13 Toys. Probably the most hated on Godzilla figure this year, you know, maybe in history. And I ain't gonna lie, the hate this thing received is one of the reasons why I bought it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I feel like reviewers are not fair. You know, in their hatred of figures. In this case, I think they're both wrong and right. You know what I mean? For several different reasons that I'll get into in the video. But I will say I like the looks of this thing. It looks better than I thought that it would look. It's a bigger figure in height than I thought it would be, because this thing's got to be like maybe 8 or 9 inches. I'll whip the tape measure out for it, but it's pretty tall. You're getting this atomic breath piece with it, and you're getting some beautiful dorsal plates with it, which I really like the color of the dorsal plates. But yeah, so you do get the atomic breath piece accessory, which is nice. You know, it's about the same color as his dorsal plates. But you know, I think the face looks better than I expected it to be. The teeth look better than I expected it to be. The teeth looked a little goofy in some of the promo spots. It's not as bad when you get it in person. They're okay. The eyes are pretty decent. Right there. So you can see the eyes. Not bad. Teeth and eyes are not bad. See the teeth? They're decent. Yeah, I kind of like that. My issues with this figure is in the neck area, of course, and we'll get to that. You know, one of them just being with the neck piece just being very big. You know what I mean? Not being tight as far as the fit is concerned. But as far as the look of this thing, I like it. It's a nice, decent look. Like a lot of people pointed out, which I certainly agree with, is that it looks like Hugh crossed the SH Monsteros 2024 with the Playmates Heat Ray Godzilla. You know what I mean? So, and I'll bring those both out later to compare. But that's the look you're getting. And he's a pretty big boy. He's a nice size figure. You know, if you pose this Godzilla on the shelf just like this, he's cool. It's cool looking. It's not bad. I really, really like the color of the dorsal plates and the color of the atomic breath effect. Those are pluses. The color of the figure is kind of on the gray side, like that Playmates gray. Um, but you know, yes, okay, yes. So it is a 3D print, big deal. You know, the gripe with a lot of these reviewers who hated on this figure is that the price don't match the quality. And you know, the early sale was $60. I think this thing was going up to $100. It's flat out not worth that. I don't know if it's worth the 60. Getting it in hand, I would say the figure should probably be around the $20 to $25 range if I had to say. If you like it and you could get it for that early sale of $60, all right. You know what I mean? It's not like I paid $60 for it. I'm not bitching and moaning too much about it. You know what I mean? I actually kind of like the look of it. I like it right there. It's cool, you know? So the only thing is, you know, pay the extra $5 for protection because you're not, you know, this is not like you're getting your own personal. This is just a Titan 13 box, and you know it's in some plastic wrap on the inside, and that's it. You know what I mean? There's no clamshell like other companies. This is not a Titan 13 Godzilla specific box. This is just a regular Titan 13 box, and it comes in some bubble wrap on the inside. And that's that, as far as that is concerned. But I like it. It's not bad. It's got detail. The look of it is not terrible, folks. So let's pose them a little bit and we'll talk more about it. Okay, so let's kick it off with a nice action pose. And this looks good. Sorry to say. You know what I mean? Worst Godzilla figure ever? No, definitely not. I've seen some bad ones out there. This is not terrible. You know what I mean? It's decent. What makes it, you know, not as good as, you know, you would like is the price. If this is $25, this is all day, this purchase. You know what I mean? And nobody would feel bad about it paying that. It does feel a little light and delicate. You know what I mean? You do, you know, you do tend to like be gentle with it and careful with it, knowing that it's a 3D print and knowing that a lot of people who did purchase from Titan 13 Toys in the past said that their figures sometimes broke first day or came in broken. So I've been very cautious with how I have handled this. You know what I mean? And you could see that from like with how the hands are on. You know, you don't want to. It's stiff, the figure. So, you know, on top of it, thinking that it might be a little delicate, it's stiff. So you don't really want to take liberties with it. You want to slowly work it into posability. But it's nice. You're going to get bend at the knee, which works nice. The arms go around and out. You get good bend at the elbow, and the hands turn. You're going to get, with the mouth, it's nice. You get like a mid-level opening, and then it goes even wider than that. So I like that. You know, the figure looks-wise is basically exceeding the expectations. It's nice. The mouth is not as goofy as I thought it was in a lot of the pictures. It's okay. The tongue is good. The inside of the mouth, the teeth, the tongue, the eyes are all decent. It's not that bad of a sculpt. It's a cool-looking Godzilla. The tail is kind of nice. You're going to get these dorsal plates to the tip of the tail. It's a little bit of a chunky tail. It's not going to be a highly articulated tail. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like the SH Monster Arts 2000 Godzilla or any of the Hayas. It's going to do limited things, you know, but you do have some curvature with it. And I like it. I think it's really nice. And because it's big, I feel like it's going to stand out on the shelf. And these dorsal plates are a grabber. The blue on the dorsal plates are just a very, very nice blue. You know what I mean? So, like every figure, this figure has flaws. Does it have too many flaws for the price? Maybe. I don't know. That depends. That depends on how you feel about spending $60 on this thing. I think it's cool because I happen to love SH Monster Arts and love Playmates. And I like that this is a combination of both. You know what I mean? I liked it. I like the look of it. So, but let's see. Let's see what else he could do. Okay, so you're going to get, pretty good crunch on this figure. This is about as far down as you could get him to look. And so you're gonna be able to get him to look down here, and the tail is gonna help you out a little bit. You see that? You see that? You could actually move that section to get a little bit more of a crunch at the waist. And that's kind of cool. That's a different feature. But the head is going to look pretty far down. So you could get Godzilla into a nice looking at the ground pose like this, The legs are a little bit stiff. You do get swivel. Everything as far as the swivel, like the hands and the feet, it's stiff. It's going to work for you. You just want to be careful not to snap it when you do it. But, and you do get that gappage right there. Whichever, a lot of figures give you gappage, but, you do get a nice, he does look pretty far down. If you want to rock with that, you could do it. You know what I mean? You could have him look really, really looking down. So you do get some articulation here. You know what I mean? It's not terrible articulation. Okay. You're also going to get surprisingly decent balance on this figure. Okay. So there are things to like about this, people. Believe me, this is a really nice tail off the ground, lurching forward action pose. That's as wide as you're going to get the mouth right there. You know what I mean? The tongue is not articulated as far as I know. I don't know. If it is, it's the stiffest thing on the figure, and I don't want to risk breaking it. But you could look out pretty straight with the head to create what is a very, very nice pose. You're getting good movement on the feet, swivel, good balance. That's nice. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I actually kind of quite like it. Okay, look at that. That's good. So balance is a check mark. You could get a tail off the ground pose. You got good movement in the legs and feet to support it. The mouth opens up nice and wide. The arms function good. It's okay. Yes, it has a bit of a gap in the neck, and there's also another problem on the neck that I'll tell you about. It's not really a problem. It's the way the figure is designed, but we'll get into that. But that's a nice pose, man. I can't hate on this. Now, you're actually going to get a surprisingly nice swimming pose on this. So that's great right there. You know what I mean? The head almost looks straight away. That's awesome. Tail goes straight to create an excellent swimming pose for this figure. So there are some poses that you could get out of this figure that are just top notch. That's as good a swimming pose as any. Look at that. Straight as an arrow, man. Awesome. Okay, and this is how high up you're going to get him to look, which is quite nice. You know what I mean? Yeah, the head raises up quite nice. You're going to get ridiculous gappage in the neck. That's the only thing. You don't have to. You could leave it at that and pretty much leave it that way. But you're going to, if you really want to go all the way up with it, you're going to get some gappage. Another thing that I have a problem with, right, is this piece. You got that huge hole in the neck. And from what I understand, right? So you could look at this basically two ways. First of all, you could tuck that in so you don't see it, but it's there. You know what I mean? Look at that. And I guess they made it so that it tucks in so that it moves more freely, but it just looks sloppy. I thought when I first got it that it was just a tear in the neck. And so now this is both a good part and bad part about Titan 13 toys. I messaged them about it. They seem to have very good, quick, responsive customer service. They answered every single one of my messages about this in a timely fashion. I said, I purchased a figure, I got that, I saw the neck, I was like, wow. I took a picture of it. I said, listen, the neck is damaged. I'd really, I dig the figure, I'd like to give it a good review. They wrote me right back, asked me for a video of it. So I, bent it, moved it just like I did for you guys so that you could clearly see the tear, and sent them the video. And they told me, okay, we'll speak to our team, make an assessment, and get right back to you. So I'm thinking, okay, well, they're going to send me a new figure. And then they came back and said that that's not damage, that's just part of the design. And so that kind of, bugged me out a little bit, because I was like a tear mark looking thing in the neck is part of the design. LOL, okay. That's what I wrote to them, So it didn't make sense to continue on with that. But then when I look at all the promo pics of the figure, they all seem to have it. So I guess that is part of the design, to get this tear looking thing into the neck. And it's just so that it allows you this to move around and fit in there, I guess. You could hide it. Like I hit it right there. You could tuck it in. You could make all of the gaps as minimal as possible, except for right there on top. But guys, I don't really care about that. I still think it looks cool. You could hide it. You can make it look cool. I still really dig the look of the figure, but because of things like that, I now agree with a lot of the other reviewers that the price is just ridiculous. If this was a $20, $25 figure, I think it's a no-brainer for me. I would definitely get it. $60 is a little hard to swallow, I still would want it for $60, to be honest with you, because I just think it's cool. I think it's something different. Not everything needs to be perfect, and I happen to like the goofy look of this. I like that it takes the look of SH Monster Arts and mixes it with, Playmates. You're gonna get slight gappage here and there, but it's not really that bad. The neck is probably the worst of the gappage on this figure, and maybe that's because, it's a 3D print and not a mold. But, all right. But anyway, let's keep posing. This is about how wide you're going to get the figure, which is pretty good. You got a basic T-pose. This is really what you're doing with the tail. It's not, you could kind of pretty much curve it side to side and a little bit up, but you're not curving it more than that, which is fine. You know what I mean? It curves enough. It curves enough to give it different positions. And, that's fine with me. It doesn't have to really curve too much. And that's about as wide as you're getting it. Okay, you're going to get a pretty nice running pose here, too. This figure could do poses. And certain poses look pretty good where they make up for what's wrong with it. You know what I mean? You're not really, when you get a nice running pose like this, you're forgetting about everything else that's wrong with it. And that looks good. It's just as good of a running pose as any. The limbs allow you to do the poses that you would normally do. Okay, we're going to get a fairly decent foot stomping pose. You're not going to get a tremendous amount of bend at the knee, but you do get bend at the knee. You do get bend at the foot. The tail helps you out, the curvature of the tail, and it gives you a decent foot stomping pose. So again, this figure's performing. Okay, so don't let anybody discourage you from what this figure can do just because of the gripes that they may have. And some of them are warranted, some of them aren't. Now, guys, I also want to point out, you're getting turn at the waist, you're getting rock at the waist, you're getting turn at the head. So you can make for a good looking to the side pose because of that. I like that, you know? It's got it. It performs, man. You know what I'm saying? The articulation is halfway decent on this figure. It's good. It's better than a Playmate's articulation, okay? Like it's going to give you all of the poses pretty much that you're going to get on a higher figure, minus like having a good tail and doing what the tail could do. But you're getting a version of that. You're getting crunch at the waist. You're getting rock at the waist. You're getting turn at the waist. You're getting turn at the head. You're getting good bend at the knee, swivel at the feet. You know, you're not getting much with the tail, but you could pose it, and it holds its pose. You know what I mean? Even though you can't do crazy curls and bends, you're still making decent action poses with this figure. So no complaints there. Okay, look at that. Bro, when a figure could do that, it don't suck. You know what I mean? Like, when you see articulation like that, this is why I feel like Titan 13 is taking a bad rap. That is a very, very cool pose. I love that this figure could do that. That looks awesome. You know what I mean? That's what makes me mad, because this figure is fun. Yeah, the price could have been less. It should be less. You know what I mean? Yes, there are flaws in the design of it. But there's also positives. That is very cool that it could do that. That's an awesome tail off the ground pose. The figure has to have balance to be able to do that. Dopeness. We are going to give you a tail off the ground, crawling on all fours pose. Nice. You know what I mean? Did you think that this was going to be able to achieve some of these poses? Did you think you were going to get a crawling on all fours pose with this figure? Because you can. And a nice one at that. You know what I mean? Okay, so now we're going to get this beautiful atomic breath piece, which I really like. I love the blue on this. It matches perfectly with the blue on the dorsal plates. It's got a hole in it that fits, you can fit the tongue right into it. And it just balances there perfectly to go, you know, pretty much straight ahead, all the way down if you want, or about that high up with it. Just give you a look at it from the background too. That's beautiful. Love these dorsal plates that continue to the tip of the tail. The blue color on this thing is very nice. And that's about as high up as you're getting them, which is good enough for me, you know. So, you know, you are getting an accessory with this thing, which is pretty cool. You know what I mean? At least it's not just a figure, and they do give you a nice atomic breath piece that fits in his mouth and holds quite well. Okay, so we're basically going to take a look now at how this figure was birthed. These are the parents. You know what I mean? That's the bottom line. You know, that's what everybody feels. But as you could see, it's actually very different from both of them. I could understand why people would compare it to these two, even though it's not, you know. It's nice to have this, you know, and go along with that. Oh yeah, it's the baby of these two, but um, I think it's just similar in looks, and people say that, but it's actually nothing quite like these. I personally love this figure. One of my favorite purchases, and I really, really love the Playmates Heat Ray Godzilla too, and those beautiful dorsal plates. This is a nice. This was one of the top releases for GXK, in my opinion. I love it. Heck, you can't go wrong with this figure for $10. But just to give you a little comparison, there's mommy and daddy and baby. Okay, so that's about going to wrap this up. I want to give a nice shout out to Titan 13 Toys. I will try purchasing something else from you guys in the future. Hopefully, you do more Monsterverse, more Godzilla characters, more Godzilla figures. Um, I will certainly give another purchase, give it another try. Um, and I want to say, shout out to their customer service. You know what I mean? You might disagree with how the figures are constructed and the price, but Titan 13, they're not a scam. You know what I mean? Somebody who's a total scam is not going to write back to you promptly. They're not going to give you good customer service, that's what my experience was. I was hoping that the neck, wasn't like that I was going to get a new figure, but that's if that's the way the neck is, then that's the way the neck is. You know what I mean? But they responded to me and promptly. And it's not that bad. It's something you could deal with. You know what I mean? Like, this to me looks cool. This is a really cool looking Godzilla. I'm sorry whoever doesn't like it. I do. You know what I mean? And I'm not disappointed in my purchase. And if you like it, get it. You know what I'm saying? Don't let others discourage you from getting it if you like the looks of it. I think it's fun. I had fun posing it. And I think it's going to look fairly decent on the shelf. You know what I mean? This is not like an SH Monster Arts or higher. It's something different. You know what I mean? Take it for what it's worth. And just, if you like it, get it, enjoy it. You know what I mean? Don't let people discourage you from buying it if you're feeling like it. You know what I mean? All right, peace. I'll be back at you with another one soon. Like the goddamn video, subscribe to my channel. Titan 13, T13 Godzilla. Go get you some T13 Goji. Peace.